Good evening, Charger Nation, and welcome back to the Charger Leadership Academy. Our guest this week is Ayana Duncanson, a member of the women's basketball team earlier this decade, and currently a member of the staff at the NFLPA. Ayana, welcome to the Charger Leadership Academy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So before we get into your career and kind of how you've developed as a leader throughout your time with the NFL Players Association, why don't you tell us about your journey to UNH and your time as a Charger?
Absolutely. So I will definitely say this. My time at UNH is one that I cherish quite a bit. Now that I'm living in DC, I am often ranting and raving about all the great things that Connecticut has to offer, all the pizza, all of that stuff. So I am always speaking really good things about New Haven and Connecticut. So with that being said, typical, wasn't too crazy typical approach. You're getting recruited in, that junior, senior year of college, of high school. And I had gone on quite a few official visits at the time. Mostly actually ME10 schools, St. Rose, Adelphi, a few others. And then, there's that you want to play D1, play D2 sort of situation that every athlete kind of manages. And quite honestly, I knew my personality and I knew that balance was probably the most important thing for me. I'd always obviously loved playing basketball and really, was dedicated to that. But because of the person that I am, I have to have balance. So being able to accomplish my goals academically and athletically was going to be important. And I wasn't sure, when you think about D1 athletics, depending on conferences and all that sort of stuff, how I was going to be able to manage the travel, the basketball, the school, the social, being away from my family, all that sort of stuff. So I went on an official visit to UNH and I absolutely loved it. Like the team's chemistry was probably what stuck out the most to me. All the girls got along with each other, very family oriented. I'm not very big on like big crowds and big schools. So I loved that the campus wasn't too big and everything was really close and close knit. And so that's what really attracted me to the school. And then it's only like an hour and a half away from where I live. So I knew my family was going to be able to support and come up to games and really be a part of that experience for me. So yeah.
So tell us what you are currently doing in your role with the NFL Players Association.
For sure. So I am a player services manager at the NFLPA. And I work primarily in the player marketing sector of our business. So anything that is off of the field revenue drivers, I and my department work to secure as much money as possible for players off of the field. So any of the on the field, like concussions and safety protocols, all that sort of stuff, I don't handle any of that. I try to work with guys, which is nice because they'll answer my calls when I call them because I usually have some money to get them. But I work with them to really leverage their position as professional athletes and, figure out ways that they can monetize that when they are playing. Because as you know, the NFL career is not very long. So really being able to teach them how to leverage their brands, how to work with their teams and their alumni, areas to create opportunities for them to build brands outside of what they do on the football field. What I think is really fun about NFL players and really athletes in general is that what we see on Sundays, as important as it is, it's only one part of their lives. They are all dynamic athletes that have a ton of passion points outside of playing their sport. And what I like to do is combine the fact that they're athletes, the things that they love to do, and help them create opportunities to tell that story and help make some money for them. So that's a little bit of what I do in a nutshell.
So I think it's great that you talked about, as you were looking for a school, the balance that you were hoping to strike, right, between basketball and your studies and life. And now you're looking at, in your career, you're helping professional athletes find some of that balance as well. So how do you think that your life as a student athlete and growing up as an athlete, playing in college, how do you think that's helped you in your career right now?
Yeah, so I selfishly, and I think athletes make some of the best, industry people and employees in a way. I think we naturally know how to take criticism really well, and we actually yearn at criticism and feedback. Like we're looking for how to get better in a lot of cases, which is awesome. And I think that skill or that desire that I have to just be better at really anything that I'm doing is, really important in my career and has afforded me opportunities, to grow. And then I also think there is like a resilience and adaptability that athletes tend to have that allows us to kind of move and shake and really kind of find our way in difficult times in pursuit of whatever excellence or success we're aspiring to get to. So those couple of skills have just allowed me to have a mindset and a perspective that really drives a lot of what I do. I think that, also being able to work with people, have teammates and, what I would call now my, coworkers, and work with them in ways that uplift them, uplift me, and kind of drive towards our collective goals are just some things that I think transfer over from my time as an athlete.
So you talked about, the desire and the drive to continually improve. You've obviously had a lot of success early on in your career to this point. And what is one thing that you can point to right now and that you're really trying to improve, whether it's, within your career or within your personal life? What's one thing that you're working on right now to improve in yourself?
So I'll give you two things, and one will be personal and one will be professional, because I think, again, we're talking about balance, right? So I think personally, I am working on, it's simple, but like working on forgiveness, right? And mostly forgiveness of myself when I make mistakes or do something that I shouldn't have done. Having the wherewithal to give myself some grace, because the time that I spend kind of beating myself up for whether it's small mistakes at work or missing a friend's birthday or something like small like that, the time I spend kind of beating myself up for that is just detracting from the positivity and the joy and the kindness that I want to put out to other people and to other things. So really trying to kind of nail down like forgiveness, which is kind of silly to think at what I'm 28, so at this age that's something that I'm working on, but it is, I'll be honest. And then I think professionally, I know we're here talking about leadership, and I think, as you mentioned, there's a lot of individual successes that I have just been blessed to have, or opportunities that I've been blessed to have. But one of the things that is most important, I think, in leadership is your ability to get the people around you to level up, right? And to rise to the occasion and to come with solutions and, meet problems with strategy. And as well as I may do something in a certain area, how can I, share and encourage people to level up, right? And to do those things themselves. And so it's about bringing people forward and with you and teaching and mentoring. And so that's something that's really, really important to me. And I think the one thing to note about that perspective, it's not just, mentoring, a junior employee, right? It's about maybe doing that laterally or maybe across departments where you work with somebody that's in a different department. And a lot of the times in those instances, you have to work together on projects and you may need them to do something. And So it's about collectively, making sure that, the people that you're working with understand their impact on your work, yours on theirs, and how we can, as a group, really put something forward that is positive, is, above the standard, and really gets the job done.
So as you look back on, maybe your career here at UNH as a women's basketball player, having a successful 4-year run here, are there correlates that you can draw upon to that scenario of, maybe you came in as a freshman or as an underclassman as a sophomore, and you had to lead in a productive way when maybe a junior or senior wasn't doing something right. I'm sure that there's a lot of scenarios like that you can probably draw upon for your career now.
Yeah, there certainly are. And I think, again, what's awesome about being, especially when you play basketball, right? Like there's 5 of us on the court all the time. And no matter how good you are, like if you didn't play defense and your girl scores, like that's on you, right? And it's up to the team to say unacceptable, like don't do that again, and to coach you up and to, encourage you to do better next time. And that's, in a nutshell, all that working with other people in corporate life is like just identifying where there's a need or where someone needs support, figuring out how to support them, and then eventually, coaching them up so that they won't need that support anymore. So definitely a lot of parallels.
Another thing that jumped out to me is you mentioned, in your job now, there's the need to be adaptable and to kind of face adversity and whatnot. It's impossible to go throughout our daily lives right now without thinking about some of the adversities that our student athletes are facing, that really our country and our world are facing with the pandemic that's going on. How has it affected your day-to-day life? I see you're at home as opposed to an office, obviously, but what are some of the other adversities that you and your staff have faced?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just been such a trying time for our country and just for the world in general. So with that being said, yes, I am working from home. I've been working from home since March. For so long, I was like, I don't need to buy a desk. Like, we are going back to work. And I'm still at my kitchen table, so I should probably buy a desk. But yes, my job has changed in so many ways, but the crux of it still stays the same, right? Like still those same revenue driving opportunities. How can we work with players? What can we do during this time to give them opportunities to make some money? But how we do that and when we do that and is what has been the most interesting change. So the season is going on, as we all are watching, and something as simple as like production shoots, all of the production shoots that you usually see for commercials and everything are usually done in the off season towards like May through June. All the players will go out to, a lot of them go out to LA, they'll do their production shoots and all that sort of stuff. So none of that obviously happened this year. So while we have teams playing now, and now that there's protocol and certain things in place, there are instances where players may be asked to do a virtual shoot or all these sort of things like during the season, which we typically wouldn't do. So scheduling has been very interesting. And then also being cognizant of the actual pandemic. Like, there obviously have been players or teams that have had COVID outbreaks and all that sort of stuff. So you may have secured a player to do something on a Tuesday, and then something happens on Monday, and the whole thing kind of just needs to be shifted, and you don't know, and you can't blame anybody. It's nobody's fault. It's just a matter of the situations that we're in. So it's a lot of flexibility, but then also I think extending grace to myself, to players, to partners, and just say, like, we're in this together. We will figure it out. We will, work to get the goals or whatever project done. But we just have to be kind of cool, calm, and collected as we sort through a variety of things. So yeah.
It's fantastic advice for anyone. We're all going through this right now, and it's kind of a fun insight into into some of the things that you're doing and having to deal with right now. So we like to leave things here on the Charger Leadership Academy by asking you, is there a particular quote that you tend to live your life by, or that you think of often, that maybe motivates you or kind of brings you back to living the type of life and the values that you seek to live by?
So I don't think I have a specific quote, but I do try my best to lead my life with gratitude. I think especially since the pandemic, I'm trying to just keep gratitude at the forefront of my perspective. All of this can be taken away in any moment. My life can be upended in any moment. And I have to be grateful for what I have, even if I want more, or even if I, or even if things aren't great, I have to try to lead with gratitude, with myself and with other people, with my job, and just try to find the small things in life to be grateful for, because what we're dealing with right now is quite insane. And that's just that. So I'm going to find ways to just try to be positive, and really be grateful for the people that I have around me, the support system, friends, family, that they're all healthy, the fact that I can work out without any problems and, do that sort of stuff. So it just really, I'm just trying to be more grateful with what I have and where I am.
So I guess the quote is just be grateful.
Yes.
Great advice for us all. Well, Ayana, I appreciate you coming on the Charger Leadership Academy and giving us some great advice and great tips for leadership. And as always, you're a great ambassador for Charger Nation.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.